I must warn you, after some very exciting presentations this morning, we're a bit boring. So we're all about KYC and compliance. It's dull. It's dull. It's regulating this and that. So I need to inject life in a kind of lifeless kind of project. So we are based in Malta, which is working hard at becoming one of the hotspots for being regulated, and we're very involved with the government there, with the external auditor for a lot of ICO setting up, and also the exchanges coming over, like Binance and the other guys. We've been heavily involved in the regulation as well, which has gone into Parliament now and will probably be enforced in the next couple of months. But our background is all around is in KYC and payments. So we run a company called QGEM based out of Malta, and we support a number of large blue chip organizations like Evo Payments, for example, which listed on the NASDAQ last week, and we do all the onboarding for them. We support some gaming companies. We support pay-the-loan companies like Wonga and the like. And the next stage of our growth is effectively, putting the information on the blockchain. So, and where does KYC come from? So what's driving KYC and the need for KYC? We hear about it a lot. We hear about it in presentations. It's on a lot of people's slides and what have you. And there's about four main things which are really driving the push, for KYC and kind of our solution. So there's a lot of regulatory push. We all know about AML4, AML5, GDPR, AML6, and all this kind of stuff coming. Everyone's kind of terrified of fines and not quite knowing how to manage a solution. So people are outsourcing more and more. Online commerce is growing hugely, as we'll see later on, and that's driving frictionless KYC. What's the big problem with online commerce at the moment? It takes so long to onboard somebody, get them engaged, ask them for the passport copies, this, that, the other, and also consumer behavior. People want to get onboarded quickly, onboarded fast, and transact without too much hassle. And the same thing with the merchants. They want rapid load up. They want to be safe. They want to be compliant, and they want to be better than the next guy. So these four main driving forces are kind of what's pushing the whole KYC and what's driving our solution. Wrong way. Okay. And like I said, the biggest thing, effectively, what's really driving is the huge rise in online commerce. So it's really hard to get. People say to me, "Listen, what's the size of the KYC market?" And you Google it and you find, someone says 2 billion, someone says 10 billion. It's nothing, and they throw in the cost of software, they throw in the cost of people, they throw in the cost of checks. It's awful. And so we're saying, well, listen, forget all that. What the real underlying driver is online commerce. It's people transacting online. Be it in the regulated space or non-regulated space. And this kind of chart over here just kind of shows how big that is. So we're talking, in 2014, 1.32 digital buyers in billions. Going up to 2.14 billion in over the next few years. So the growth is there. And it's going to get harder. The KYC is going to get harder because of the regulations we spoke about before, and the growth is going to carry on. So I always go the wrong way. So what have we got? So we've got. What we've developed is a app on the phone. So the users download this, and what that actually has is when they create the identity, the KYC identity. I want to stress it's a lot more. We see people talk about digital identity. It's not digital identity. Digital identity is touching the tip of the iceberg. It's proper, fully regulated KYC identity. So people have all the KYC docs, the passport copies, the PEPs, the sanctions, the proof of address, and there's loads and loads of extra things which you get into. And depending on which sector you're in, which market you're in, it's a different level of checks and balances. So, and the way it works is, so for example, the first time somebody goes to let's say an ICO, which is probably a good topical example to use, they have to, prove who they are, so they have to upload the documents. They may work with Experian, Equifax, Identity Mine Global. There's a few providers out there. We have a provider ourselves. That's our background. They do the checks. They're offered to have the Know Me Now application on the phone. They download that. They have it. All the checks which have been done by the external provider are now downloaded onto the phone. So the customer now has all his checks balances, all his history on his phone. So the next time he goes to log in at another ICO, He doesn't need to find his passport again, his address again, justify why he's not a politically exposed person again, this, that, the other, So it's a horrible, painful process. So he just goes to his phone, logs on, log in with my Nomin application. It's all consent driven. So he's asked, are you happy to share your documentation, with this ICO? You say yes, it gets transferred over. And just to give an example of why it's KYC and not digital identity. Digital identity, we just kind of stop there. Why the regulators? So we work very closely with the regulators in Germany, regulators in Malta, UK, what have you. And what they like about it, because they say, okay, it's what we're working with them saying is it provides what they call additional measures, So they can say, if the person logging on has their phone on them, they can ask them, okay, if you've got your phone, if you're using Nomi now, you must have your phone. So take a photo of yourself, send it to me. I can compare it to your passport copy. Switch on your geolocation so I can see where you are. And also use a biometric password, to get in. So this is what the phone provides, and what the blockchain provides, which is the key thing here. It provides the the authenticity, the immutability of what's being collected. So it's so we move on to the next one. Okay. So the core benefits of all this, just moving on to the next slide, are the number one thing. We talk about lots of things and this, the other. What's really going to sell it more than anything else is the frictionless KYC. What do people want? People want to log on quickly. People don't want to go to this pain, like I said, of finding documentation over again. We work with one ICO crowd, guys, and they say, for example, in the last 6 months, they've gone through the KYC process like 100 times. It's crazy, over and over again. So this is our main driving force. As we said, we're working very closely with the regulator in many different countries. So as regulators change, the system will align to those changes and what have you. And also, it's very important to stress that we're not pushing the regulation. We're not going to regulate saying you have to change, and our app allows you to change this, that, the other. We're saying that's your regulation. We'll fulfill your regulation. And when you come new regulation, we'll fulfill it. So now we're focused on AML 4, 5, 6 coming. We spent a lot of time thinking about GDPR. So we're very happy we're GDPR compliant. And as I said, this would be and also from a team perspective, we see very later on, we're very strong on regulation and compliance. So we have criminologists in the team and regulatory advisors and this and the other. Grant Thornton, who are very, very involved, they've written all the law on a lot of the regulations. They've written the law on the ICOs in Malta and this and the other, so we're very strong in that area. I can't stress enough. We are not saying we access to all leading KYC IDVs. We are not saying it's a centralized solution. We're not saying you have to use us. You don't have to use QJ. You don't have to use Nomi now if you want to use our solution. We're saying if you want to use Experian, Equifax, Identity Mind Global, whoever you are, go and use them. We just link to all of them. It's consent driven, so we hold nothing. We hold no data whatsoever. Nothing. If our system gets hacked, there's nothing there. If they hack one user's phone, they get one person's data, and that's it. We provide no backup facility. We tell them you back up on Dropbox, OneDrive, whatever you want, So we have nothing. We plug in all the monitoring and updates, so the user will. So on a daily basis, we'll be plugged into sanctions and PEPs and adverse media providers, So if somebody's not on the sanction list today, but on sanction list tomorrow, he will get that report. All the merchants that have used the system and use our system to log on will get that update saying, listen, this guy we approved a few months ago, he's now popped up on a sanction list or a PEP list, whatever the case may be. Also, we will tell the user, as things expire, we will tell the user, listen, your passport's expired, your proof of address is expired. So make the check now, update it, so next time you go and log into somewhere, they're not going to say to you, listen, do this and upload that document. So we try and keep the data, we'll really push to keep the data up to date, to make us future-proof, on the architecture and different KYC levels like we spoke about before. And also a very interesting part is people talk a lot about KYC, but in fact the KYB, the onboarding of businesses is just as difficult, if not a lot more difficult, a lot more onerous, because there's many less providers, and the reason there's many less providers is that the the data doesn't really exist, you know. So if you go to Spain, for example, try and onboard a Spanish customer, there is no electronic information, you know. So you have to go to Chamber of Commerce, you have to ask for letters, get them apostilled by local lawyers, and so the other. It's an absolute nightmare. We've been doing this for years, you know. So trying to put all that information on a wallet for a business is probably a bigger challenge than the actual KYC part. But when we crack it, it's going to be a very, very powerful proposition. I keep going the wrong way. Okay. So what we're saying on the financial side, so we're issuing a security token. We changed from a utility token, and what we're saying is we're being very conservative on the actual numbers, you know. So we're saying, for example, look, in 3 or 4 years' time, we'll be turning over 42 million. That's in euros. If you compare that to the bigger players, you know, like Experian and Equifax, these guys turn over, you know, close to 5 billion each. Even small little players in a domestic market like the UK, like Core Credit, they'll turn over in dollars about $300 million, you know. So we've kept them really, really low. We'll be paying out. It's a revenue sharing token, so we'll be paying out 15% of all the transaction revenue. So as the transaction occurs on the smart contract, the 15% is paid out straight away to the token holder. Well, it's calculated straight away. Maybe will be settled, you know, when that guy chooses to collect it. You know, be it on a quarterly basis, monthly, whatever the case may be. Whoops. Where the money is going. So the platform, usual thing, you know, platform is about a quarter of it, you know, admin, ICO costs, marketing, and PR. The marketing and PR and the partnerships and acquisition are probably the two main things, because probably like many projects, it's only going to work if there's an ecosystem. There's no point having loads of users if we have no merchants. There's no point having loads of merchants with no people to log on, you know. So it's the whole zigzag marketing thing, you know, the Airbnb and Uber model we have to kind of crack. So that's kind of why there's such a heavy percentage on those key points over there. Okay, so where we actually are is Raoul funds. We complete that fairly quickly. So that was. I keep my head. I keep converting to euros to dollars. So we've probably. I keep it in euros because otherwise I get it all wrong. So we've close. We said that we wanted 1 million, so we're very close to it. Part of it has been we self-funded the first couple of 100,000. We got, like I said, we're very involved with the government and what have you. So they gave us a couple of 100,000. So we can now put the EU flag on our thing, saying endorsed and funded by the EU. You know, blah blah blah, which is great because apart from the money, it shows that we've been through a whole very painful due diligence process with them, like, you know. So it shows. I think it shows a lot of belief, and you know. So the app I can show you later on. That's kind of ready, but it's not kind of robust yet enough for actually to go out onto the actual market. And then the full raise is 30 million. And by the end of this year, we have to have, and as always, the business guys fighting with the technology guys, you know. So I say we have to have it by the end of the year. So I think we're getting there. So we will make the first proper end of year blockchain enabled application. Before that, now we have it on the, you know, non-blockchain, so it looks nice, it actually works, you know, but doesn't create all the bells and whistles. And there's two things I want to focus on now. Okay, so the team is very strong. This is our core team. So me, you know, Godwin's background is payments. So before we got together and did this, he was a big time payment professional, and his last big project was building the latest platform for Barclays and Barclaycard in the UK. You know, so pretty much a heavyweight in the technology space, which is great because he's got a bit of a cult following, you know, and all these. It's been very hard, very easy to get developers, you know, people he knows and from his network and what have you. Been very hard to get blockchain developers because they don't exist, like, you know, this, and they definitely don't exist in Malta. So we're kind of training them, like, you know, like I said, Philip is a criminologist, you know, so it's like an in-house policeman. He's awful, you know, and he checks everyone we speak to and tells us they can't be investors because they're all a bunch of crooks, you know. So we need to control him a bit. Steve is ex manager of all KPMG, so very strong on the regulation side. Clayton does all the marketing. Footy is a really interesting guy. He's actually from Ethiopia. Came over to Europe about 10 years ago. got a PhD in computer science, majoring in blockchain. So him and Godwin have kind of done all the architecture. And the advisors, you know, none of them are there for the pretty faces, because none of them are pretty. But they're all heavily involved. They're all heavily involved. You know, they're not just there for the names. So, like, so for example, like Ruben is ex-CEO of the Gambling Authority in Malta. Wayne is Grant Thornton. He's very, very involved. You know, partner of Grant Thornton, really involved. These guys don't get paid. They just believe in the project. You know, Patrick Tabone is ex-chief of staff in the EU Commission. You know, so and we're working a lot with the EU because this kind of project hits a lot on the technology, but mainly on the social unbanked, you know, and the socially excluded and the unbanked. You know, so for example, indicator of chain starter. And where we are, this is the last kind of client. So I probably got the sequence the wrong way around. So when we talk about those numbers and growth and this, that, the other, the key thing is we have a clear route to market because we have existing clients who have all said they're going to move over and this, that, the other, and express interest. We've got a couple of use cases already with a bank in Africa. We're working with a couple of the telcos because telcos are the best part because they come with a huge user base, you know, so we're working with Vodafone and Malta and what have you. Bank of Ireland, Evo Payments, I mentioned already, so we have an existing client base with them, and we're working on, like I said, a couple of use cases with some other ICO projects. And if you don't believe me, I actually brought a man from Ireland with me who's one of our clients, and he's you know, to give a live testimonial.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.